Hello and welcome to this video where I will show you how to insert dimensions on a simple drawing. Such a drawing is a rectangle. We've drawn a rectangle, put dimensions of length and width, identify the center, and even we can be able to prove that that is the center because you can see it pins about this particular point. So what are the steps? Here are the steps. I will show you how to draw a regular shape, e.g. a rectangle, how to insert the two basic dimensions of a rectangle, that is the length and the width. Number 3, how to determine the center point of the rectangle, that is the center of gravity of the rectangle, and how to use simple animation to prove that this point is actually the center point of the rectangle. So the steps are as follows. We will draw the rectangle, we will put dimensions, we will identify the center, and then we will put animation to that rectangle to show that that is the center point. So let's get down to it. So these are the slides that I've just used for that introductory part. So I'm going to create another slide here on the bottom. So I'm going to say new slide, and here we've got a new slide. This new slide, I don't want it to have anything. I want it to be a blank slide, So I've got a blank slide here, and I'm going to draw a very simple diagram, and such shapes exist. So I'm going to go to the insert tab, then under this group of tabs, written illustrations, I will go to shapes, and you can see there are so many shapes that I can be able to pick here. And this one is a rectangle, so I'm going to pick it up. There is that plus sign. Maybe I want my rectangle to start from that point, so I will right click, hold and drag, and you can see that gives me my rectangle. I can be able to make it to have a very small width, a big width. That one is something that I can be able to make a choice of. So after that, I can decide to make the rectangle is already colored. I can change the color, shape fill here, and we've got so many colors that I can be able to use for the rectangle. I can even make it to have no color, but for the sake of this video and for proper visibility, I want it to have some color. After that, I want to make its outline to stand out, so I will go to the weight of the outline, and you can see I can use this to increase the weight of the outline. And there I've got the rectangle. Next is to insert the dimensions. Here I want an arrow starting from this point all the way to this point, double-headed arrow starting from this point all the way to this point to identify the length of this rectangle, because it's from here all the way to this point. Again, I'll go to the insert tab, and under shapes you can see there are these arrows. So somehow I can pick any arrow there. I can edit it later. I'll come and start from this point, right click, drag, and when it stops at that point, and now I've got the length, and I'm going to use the downward arrows to try and move the line downwards. I want to increase the weight of that line for the sake of visibility in the video. So again, let me make it to be that weighty. You can see it's got just an arrow on one side. I want it to have arrows on both sides. So what do? I go to shape outline, and when I click it, I will come to arrows here at the bottom, and you can see there is this one here with both sides. Click on it, and there I have it. Next, I want to show that I'm measuring from this point all the way to this point. This one is very simple. I'll just pick a line, just going to insert in the same shapes, and then I just pick a line. Once I pick a line, I will come here and maybe start from some point there, draw a line up to that point, and then using the downward arrows, I will move it down like that until it just touches this arrow here. First of all, this arrow, we had increased its weight, so let me restore its weight to that much. And also this other line that I've put here, I want to increase its weight so that it can be visible. And there we have it. And I want that line to be dotted, not a solid line, because this is how we show dimensions on a diagram. So I'm going to use these dots for the sake of that particular video. I'm going to move this arrow down there. I can increase the length of this line up to that point, and also increase it downwards up to that particular point. I think that one is good enough. That one's good enough. I want to draw another line like this at this point, but all I need to do is just select that line, copy and paste, and now I can be able to slide it again using the left and the right arrows. I'm able to slide it all the way up to the end there. You see, I've been able to identify the length. Now it's the width. So I'm going to pick this line, then copy and paste. Once I copy and paste it, I'm going to put that line at that point, and then I move this one to this particular point, and then move it to the left, because I want to identify now the width of this rectangle. And then again, copy the same line and paste, align it properly, and move it all the way to the top there, so that it is just in line with that particular point. Again, to show the width, I'm going to copy this double-headed arrow and move its length all the way to this point, all the way to that point, and move the other length all the way to this point, and then move it to the left to identify the width. And there I've got my width. Next is to put the words length here and the width at this particular point. Okay, so here I'm going to insert a text box. So insert, you come all the way to the text box. Somewhere around here you'll be able to see a text box, and here it is, the text box. Click on it, and then you can come and draw your text box here. Just to draw your text box there, and write length. Just write length. Length is equal to, for example, let's say 10 centimeters. I'm going to use the same dimensions that I used previously. So 10 centimeters. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to increase the font and even make it bold so that it can be seen properly. Then just put it at the center of that line. When you're putting dimensions to a diagram, you make sure that any label that you put to that length is at the center. Don't put it at the edge. Make sure that it is at the center and above the line. And above the line. Don't cross the line. Don't let it lie exactly on the line, just above, comfortably above, and not too far. Okay, something like that. Now I want to write the same here, which is the width. So I'm just going to copy this. Again, Control C and then Control V, paste, and I've pasted that that text box there, and I'm going now to move it all the way to this point. But this is the width, so I'm going to erase that, and I do width. It's about 4 centimeters. Yeah, 4 centimeters. So I write 4 there. You can see that you can use the copy and paste function to repeat something that you have already drawn and edited. For example, I drew this line. I did a bit of editing to that line, and because I've got to repeat the same to the same line at this point, I don't need to do everything from scratch. I can always copy and paste. Now here you've got an option. Let me reduce the length of that text box so that it fits well in that particular space. Let me shift the whole diagram to the right so that everything fits well in the space which I'm having there. So fits well because of this width that I've already put there. So let me move it closer so that it is at that particular point. And also I want to change the size of the text box. Moves closer, and it is at the center. In some dimensions, you may find that this word reads upwards like that. If you want to do that, you just need to rotate this text box. You can see this. You just click on it and rotate it, and there you have it. And I think it is, now it is vertical, and now you can move it to the right so that it is exactly at the center. But in most of them, you'll find that there might be no need to rotate. So let's undo that, and we have our width reading properly. So we've been able to draw the triangle. We've put dimensions. Now we want to identify the center of this triangle. Not the triangle, but the rectangle. Now we want to identify the center of this rectangle. Here I'll just use a skill that we use in science, in physics most of the time. When you're given regular shapes, we are able to determine their center of gravity, and one of them is a rectangle. So I'm going to draw lines that we call diagonals. I'm going to draw a line from that point all the way to this point. I hope you can remember how we pick a line by insert and then shapes, and then we pick a line. We come and draw it here. You can see that you can't be able to see that line. It starts from this point to this point. Reason being is that its weight is very small. So we are going to increase the weight of that particular line. And once we increase the weight, you can see that the line can be seen. Again, I'm going to copy and paste that particular line, and I put one corner at this point, one corner at that point, and the other corner at that point. And now the intersection, the point where the two diagonals intersect, is the center of this shape. It is the center of this shape. Next, I want to rotate this card about this point and to see whether it will rotate about that point. You can use PowerPoint to identify the center of a given shape just by rotating it, all right? So what do I need to do? This rectangle has got these two lines, these two diagonals, so they are part of that shape. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select this rectangle plus the diagonals. I leave out the dimensions. So I select the rectangle and the diagonals. Once I do that, go to Shape, Format. Then at this end, click on that arrow and I'm going to group those shapes. Click on it and you can see now it's got a fresh boundary, meaning that everything here is one object. So I want to animate this. I want to spin this object so as to see whether it can spin about this particular point. What do? I'll go to animation, click on it, and first of all I'm going to select the shape because I want to add animations to this particular shape. So select it, then I'll go to animation, and then I'll go to this arrow here that allows me to see more animations. There is this arrow here, click on it, and at the center somewhere around here you will be able to see spin. Let me see spin. You can see that. I click on it and immediately you find that the object starts to spin. I can be able to edit that kind of animation that I've put there. I want it to spin slowly, so what I'm going to do, I'll move over to the timing and maybe make it to spin. Let me make it 5 seconds for instance, and then I say okay. So you can see it is spinning slowly. Now I'm going to use my cursor and I put it at this point and see whether it's going to spin at that point. So let me repeat that. So I come to the animation pane here, and by the way, how to activate the animation pane, you'll just need to go to animation, and then there is the animation pane somewhere around here, animation pane. Click on it and it will be able to appear. If you click on it again, it will disappear. So let me make it reappear, and here it is. So click on that arrow to make it play, and I'm going to bring my cursor at that point, and you can see my rectangle spins about that point, and that proves that that point is the center of gravity of that particular shape. In order to show the effect properly, I'll go to slideshow, and then I can say start from the current slide, and now once I click on it, you can see that once I put my arrow, my cursor there, you can see it spins comfortably about that particular point. And that is how you can draw a simple shape such as a rectangle, insert dimensions to it, including words and numbers, how to determine its center, and how to use simple animation to prove that the shape that you've drawn, the point that you have identified as the center, is indeed its center of gravity. Now I'd like you to try this with a rectangle. Just go to insert and then insert a rectangle of whatever shape. Just insert a rectangle and then find its center, and then use simple animation to prove that the point that you have identified as the center is indeed the center of gravity. And realize that the dimensions you have to put, you may have to put one which is slant like this and another one which is slant like that, as you wish. But maybe you might want to put the base and the height. It's up to you. I've shown you how to put dimensions to a simple diagram, and a rectangle is such a diagram. And that is how you insert dimensions to a simple diagram which is in 2 dimensions. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you insert dimensions to a 3-dimensional diagram such as a cube. See you in the next video.